welcome to the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, March 15th. Today we have with us Arlene Bridges Samuels. She is the feature weekly writer for the CBN Israel, the Christian Broadcast Network, Israel News. She also is often published by All Israel News, and she is also always consistently published with the Times of Israel, their blog page or their opinion pages. I share her articles all the time to our social media, but I recently shared a particular article of interest on a topic that we were going to discuss today, regardless of who I could get to bring their expertise in. But when I saw Arlene had availability and published such a great article, I invited her to come in and speak with us to talk about Israel Apartheid Week. And Arlene, thank you for joining us today and for carving out some time from your busy schedule. We definitely value your written pieces, and we also appreciate the work you did last year. For our viewers to recall, we had Arlene on last year as we were preparing for the Violins of Hope events in South Carolina. The Jerusalem Connection participated in 2 weeks of those events with our Auschwitz Album Art. But without Arlene on that committee, I don't know that that would have happened, and with such a grand success. So Arlene has been a friend of the Jerusalem Connection for many years, and we certainly appreciate her expertise and hard work in a variety of ways to support Israel and the Jewish people. Arlene, welcome today. And again, thank you for penning that article. And I am going to share that article with you all as we speak to talk about Israel Apartheid Week and why it is something that Arlene wanted to address and what she can share with us about it. Arlene, welcome.
Thank you, Amy. We are on the same team, and
Yep.
I'm so glad to be with you and Shelley. And your contribution to Violins of Hope last year was just made it just even more spectacular. So thank you so much.
You are welcome. It was our privilege.
Yeah. So, Amy, you know, this is such a big issue, and the apartheid name, which is describing Israel, many people in many places are describing Israel as an apartheid nation. And nothing could be more wrong.
Right.
I mean, it's just a description that absolutely does not fit. As you know, Israel is a multicultural nation of Jewish people and with Arab citizens and Ethiopian Jewish citizens. And I love to share with people that Israel is the only country, that I know of that has actually brought Black African peoples to their land. Excuse me.
No problem.
Israel is the only nation that has brought Black people to freedom.
That's right.
And it is a wonderfully astounding fact. And this is something that is forgotten. And the reason I write about this is because of what I just said. Apartheid is not the correct decision for Israel. It is multicultural. So one thing that is so deeply concerning to many of us who care about Israel, who care about our own country, is that anti-Semitism is growing on campuses. And it's growing to the point where Jewish students, 60, 80% of them are feeling threatened on campus. It might be through social media. Some students are being spit upon. Some students are being beaten. And it is forcing Jewish students, many of them, which we can understand this, to hide their Jewish identity in some way, whether it's their Star of David necklace, or maybe they don't want to wear their kippah, you know, the male students, and they're having to protect themselves. And along with this, Amy, it seems that many on the faculty and even in the top administrations of the universities that are attended, that are the choices of a lot of Jewish students, the 60 or 70 universities that have a lot of Jewish students, they don't seem to be very interested in protecting their Jewish students. So there are a lot of reasons to write about this, and the biggest reason is it's a lie. Apartheid is a lie, and we can sure talk about how this whole issue developed.
Well, certainly, Jewish students and Jewish students are not a monolithic group, right? They're not all religious. They're not all overly concerned or knowledgeable about the issues going on in Israel, politically or economically or anything else. They're just there to learn. And it would amaze me that, some of these students are paying $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. They're paying to be abused. I mean, there's the vandalism and graffiti on dorms and in bathrooms. The stories are just endless and seem to come out weekly. And I'm curious if you would share with us, I know it's in your article, but this whole Israel Apartheid Week, which by the way is happening right now, is this week-long set of rallies and like information booths and stuff going on in the quad, that their whole point of it is what? To malign Israel and get students to hate it. And they don't, and you said it's a lie. Apartheid is definitely the wrong word, and it's a lie. And some of these students are duped into believing it, and some might have malicious intent knowing it's a lie. So tell us a little bit about that history of how we got to established, credible, elite universities in the United States of America devoting a whole week out of the spring semester to hate a democracy, the only democracy in the Middle East.
Well, you're well describing it, Amy. And the origin of all of what we're discussing is from the BDS movement, the Boycott, Divest, and Sanctions movement. It was begun by a Palestinian who was imprisoned for terrorism. It was begun in 2005, and now it has grown into a presence possibly on 200 different campuses in various cities. And another aspect of it, which is deeply disturbing, is that this is not the first BDS movement against Israel and Israelis and Jews. It started with the Nazis in 1933. They launched the first economic warfare against Jewish Germans in 1933. And they destroyed their businesses, they attacked them. It grew into, of course, the Holocaust. But that is a root of the boycott, divest, and sanctions movement that's going on today in the world. So this is very concerning. And the other issue that I wanted to mention, Amy, is that one thing that is never discussed is that the Palestinian people, who are Arabs, they did not take the chance and the offer that they had in 1947 in the United Nations partition plan. They were offered their own Arab state. The Israelis, of course, accepted it. The Arabs did not. And ever since, the Arab leaders have taken the opportunity to make it into propaganda. And it has hurt their own people. And one thing I want to make really clear, I think those of us in the pro-Israel movement who really are, pretty frequent and consistent advocates for Israel, we do not hate and despise the Palestinian people. What we don't like is how their leaders treat them, how their leaders insist on being stubborn about making peace. It is their leadership, such as the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. Israel has tried for direct peace negotiations for 13, 14 years with him. He hasn't held a free election since, I think, 2009, if I'm remembering that correctly. So we in the pro-Israel Christian community, we want to see the Palestinian people freed from the oppression that comes from their own leaders,
That's
who are
right.
basically dictators. And this is something that is lost in the BDS movement because they're promoting hatred. They are destroying the minds of a lot of college students because they're young. Their propaganda machine is unfortunately quite good. The Nazi propaganda machine was quite good. And so this is some of the backdrop of what's going on.
The Palestinian people are definitely suffering, and nobody can deny that. And when young people have concern and compassion for that, they are right, and they well should, as do
Yes,
we. But they lay the blame at the wrong feet. And
yes,
that's my biggest concern, that we're on academic institution land. We're in the communities where people are trying to problem solve, critical think, and learn to make the world a better place. And they don't identify the problem correctly. The problem is Hamas in Gaza, which is just brutal, especially towards their Christian population, which there are Arab Christians, and then of course the
yes.
PA, and it's so disheartening to see these rallies go on, and the only mantra is that Israel's this villain, but they lie to get that case made, and then secondly, there's no solution, right? Is the solution for Hamas or the PA to take over the whole of the land? Well, what is that going to leave you with? The conditions that are in Gaza and the West Bank, which aren't really that great for women, for more minorities, and even for your average person. The other issue is that in 1947, there really was no such thing as a Palestinian as a national. People who resided in Palestine were everything. I mean, the Jewish newspaper in Jerusalem, the Jewish newspaper written in Hebrew was called the Palestine Telegraph, or
The
whatever it was called.
Palestine Post, the
And the
Palestine
money,
Orchestra.
the currency was in Hebrew and said Palestine on it because it was a region. It was the name of the area. Most Palestinian people are of Jordanian or Egyptian descent. And it's just a whole big issue that requires careful analysis and a critical eye. And that's not what Apartheid Week is, and it's not what the faculties in these Middle East studies departments are doing. They're just the blame is Israel, European colonial state, which is a whole nother issue. They're indigenous people. They've always been there in some numbers, and legally acquired land, and it was public lands in the Ottoman Empire that were taken over by the British Mandate that was transferred to the modern state of Israel. So in all of this, what can we do as we watch every spring that, I mean, there's stuff going on with the BDS movement all year long on college campuses, but it culminates in this 1 week celebration to bash Israel. And of course, Jewish students are probably left just dumbfounded, especially those who are like, I'm not political, I'm religious, but I'm not political, or I'm not religious, I'm just a Jewish kid trying to, I'm a math major, or I'm a literature major, whatever, trying to get a good education. What's your message for us to move forward and to continue our good work to advocate for truth on college campuses, combat BDS movement and anti-Semitism, and these apartheid weeks, as they're so called?
Well, Amy, I'm certainly glad to answer this, and I did mention it in my column. I mentioned camera, which is I'm having to read you the definition of camera because it's a long name. The Committee for Accuracy in Middle East Reporting. This is an excellent organization, and they have part of what they do is they have a camera on campus. And these students are standing up for the last 3 years on campuses during Israeli Apartheid week. And of course, when they do this, they're risking their own safety and their own denigration, from others who don't understand that they are promoting the facts about Israel. And we're not calling Israel a perfect nation. There are
They're still
no perfect
humans.
nations. Yes, they're still
just like
humans.
America's not perfect, France isn't perfect.
Exactly. So I want to mention them for sure on this broadcast.
Yeah.
And of course, Passages Israel is another organization that has taken 10,000 college students to Israel. They are training them. They are giving them excellent briefings on a whole range of issues regarding Israel. So Passages Israel, that's another great one. And I think that we in the Christian community need to consider supporting these two organizations, Camera on Campus and Passages Israel. And the other thing, Amy, I'm going to show you something here for your viewers. I don't know if this is coming out in the right way, but it says, "Stop the Boycott." And this is a booklet that the Christian Broadcasting Network Israel asked me to write, I think it was a year ago. And I've got this in a text. They offered it free. I don't think they're featuring it now, but I've got it in a complete text format. I am glad to send it to you to post because I've got a whole outline, a whole article, a long article about the BDS movement, about what's going on campuses, and offering suggestions, more suggestions even, on what we can do to communicate. And it's what I often say to the Christian community, and I know you do too. We have got to stand up and tell the truth and tell the facts in the public square and do our best to do that, even if it's in an email, even when we see something that is published that is not a fact. We need to rise up. And I'm going to end with this. I'm so delighted about the Asbury revival, the Asbury outpouring.
Yep.
One of my prayers, Amy, is that because of the outpouring, that the Asbury outpouring will affect this devastating civil rights issue, is really what it is, against Jewish students, and begin to stand up for them as they stand up for our Jewish Lord, our Jewish born Lord, in part, and stand with the Jewish students on campus and be a prayer warriors and fact warriors. So that's my big prayer right now, and I hope everybody will join me in it.
I think that's a great prayer, and we would be happy to join in that, to get the college students who are Christians and who are discovering the Jewish roots of our faith and our obligation to bless Israel and support them. I also think that our viewers, in addition to writing emails or commenting publicly when something's false, if your own alma mater is engaged in these activities, voice your opinion. If you live near a campus and you want to volunteer to even support the kids on the quad who are combating this apartheid movement, bring them a case of water or some snacks, or just let them know, ask them, what can I do for you? Get them pizza, but you don't have to be out there, out there in front if it's student led, but you can let the students know that you're supporting them in a lot of ways, prayerfully certainly, but materially maybe, giving them refreshments, or just say, what do you need? What can I help with? Can I run to the copy store and pick up copies of a pamphlet that's being printed out or whatnot? So there's lots of practical ways to do that, to support these efforts. I'll share the websites for Camera and Passages, and you can follow their social media or sign up for their free email alerts, and just be part of that solution. And our solution is always filled with love, and you educate people to know the truth, and you pray that their hearts are changed. We're we're not a cancel culture, right? We're not espousing, it's a sympathy and a pity for these people who are misguided and espousing lies. We want them to see the truth. And
We're a free speech people.
that's right. We're not trying to silence, we're trying to debate and, as the cliche says, win hearts and minds. But Arlene, thank you so much for devoting your time to us today. And we will be having all of your links to your articles and your publications shared, as well as those websites. And we just want to tell everybody Shavua Tov, and keep your prayers lifted up for these college campuses, the students and the faculty, that they can see truth where they're misguided, and the truth seekers have a voice and a platform to be heard.
Thank you, Amy.
Have a great day, Arlene. Thank you.